What's going on, folks? Welcome into the Back Road. It's In Between Media's fantasy NASCAR betting show. My name's Elliot Hicks. With me, as always, Seth Woolcock. And tonight, we got Mark Harris from Skybox NASCAR back from the Lay and Coin podcast with our good friend Rory Picks, who brought some entertainment last show. Guys, it's going to be a good one. How's it going tonight?
I am stellar today, Elliot. Fall is a brewing here in Pennsylvania, and we're going back to Dega, baby, the big one. And I think after seeing what happened at Daytona, I don't know what to expect other than making some coin, baby. Mark, how are you doing, our friend?
I'm good. I can't believe that you guys put me on after Rory. I should have gone on before because I'm toast now. But no, you guys are getting the fall, and we're in hurricane season. So I'm up in North Florida. I'm good, but yeah, it's funny. It's funny the different weather, but Talladega looks to be in the clear, no rain.
Yes, sir.
So I love Talladega. I got my Talladega hat. I love camping out at Talladega. I love betting on Talladega. I like watching Talladega. I love everything about Talladega. So sign me up for this week.
Yes, sir. Mark, question for you. Have you like camped at Talladega then?
Yeah, so I went to college in Pensacola, which is about 3.5-4 hours south of Talladega. We used to pack up the bed of my truck with some tents and some heaters, and we'd go in April, and it's still cold. We'd camp out for 4 or 5 days. It's unbelievable. If you guys have never camped at Talladega, I mean like camp. Mm-hmm. It is once in a lifetime opportunity, and I will be returning. I just haven't been back since college.
Dude, did you like see the whole infield party thing? Like, Elliot, that's been a big thing that I feel like you and I have kind of been paying attention to the last couple of years. Like I don't even know what they call it, the bricks on Broadway or whatever.
So if you have a ticket to Sunday's race, you can get in the infield of Talladega basically at any point of the weekend. Wow. And Talladega infield is everything that you could possibly think it is and more. Cool. I have a ton of videos and pictures on my phone from the boulevard that should not be on the internet and will not be on the internet. But yeah, it's everything is cracked up to be. Highly suggest anyone that's listening, especially you guys, got to go check it out at some point.
Awesome.
Yeah, big shout out to Talladega too. I saw they're opening a few of their campgrounds to people evacuating from the hurricane, which is super cool. So shout out to Talladega for that, and hope everyone in the path of that hurricane is safe and moving out of the way for sure. But thanks for tuning in. Of course, Talladega is going to be chaos, but we'll get to that in a minute. We had some pretty chaotic races the last couple weeks in the rear view. So we just got done with Bristol and Texas to end the round of 16 and start the round of 12. The big themes for me, chaos, tire issues, and kind of underwhelming racing, more so obviously at Texas than at Bristol. Crazy thing is we're 4 races into the playoffs, and no active playoff driver has won to advance themselves. That's the big thing. You win, you're in the next round, and nobody's been able to do it yet. We saw Chris Buescher take RFK Racing back to victory lane. Much to our good friend JKL from the Left Turn Cult. RFK is back, yes. And Tyler Reddick was the one who survived Texas. And man, to be honest, I was away this weekend. I didn't watch this race. I picked a great race weekend to miss, it seems like.
Yeah, damn right.
And it looks like with some of these red X's here, Seth, I don't know quite how well the bets went for you either.
No, I mean, the bets have not been flying since NFL has been back. I don't know what's been going on. And I've never been so happy to put like a couple races in the rear view here, Elliot. Honestly, like screw Texas, screw Bristol. Like I'm ready for some better racing, and hopefully we get it at Dega. But I apologize for anyone who tailed me going into Bristol. The Bowman bets, they didn't work, boys. The Bowman, Mark, I know some of you guys were on Bowman last week. I was a week earlier than you. The Bowman bets did not hit. I was hot on Toyota going into Bristol. Like I think most like the consensus. That did not work. Hendricks did not work. Just a bad time at Bristol. Texas was a little better. Like I hit the Ryan Blaney top 5. That was cool. Chase over Rowdy, but like a lot of it was just luck when it came down to like who didn't have tire issues. But Mark, did you fare any better during this like betting extravaganza that was these last couple weeks?
Yeah, so Bristol, I actually was up there. It was my first time at Bristol, which I think some of my comments today are going to be a little biased because it was my first time at Bristol. Yeah. And just like talking about Talladega, Bristol is 100% bucket list, no doubt in my mind. Figure out a way to go. But I was so starstruck. Like We were on the grid for the truck race, and we got to see Ty Majeski in Victory Lane, which was super cool, and we bet on him. We also took Gregson Saturday, and I didn't put it on the card or tweet anything about it because I put a $10 bet on Chris Buescher at the sports book right outside Bristol. And so that was fun. So technically I hit all three. But as for the racing, yeah, it was chaotic. I was high on Toyota too. Who would have thought that the majority of their cars would be out with mechanical failures? That's crazy nonsense. You rarely ever see that. It's not something you can really work around because you don't know when it's going to come. But I thought Bristol was good racing, but I also think that I was having just such a good time being there and seeing the cars in person and the track and seeing the different lanes and watching whatever matchup you wanted to watch and whichever part of the field you wanted to watch. Like, that was super cool for me. So yeah, while the last 2 weeks have seen the most equipment failures that we've probably seen in the last 5 years. Yeah. I did watch Texas. I did take a nap through it during the rain delay. Elliot, you picked a phenomenal race not to watch. My bets sucked. The race sucked. The tires sucked. The track sucked. Count me out of Texas betting on it, watching it. And I'm a diehard. I watch every single race, every lap. Count me out of Texas. You could have gone into Texas betting it like a super speedway and had better luck than doing hours and hours of research and work and thought putting into that, and then just seeing, I don't know, a dozen tires blow throughout that race. So I'm ready for Talladega. So let's move on. How about that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like that idea for sure. Texas was just a mess. We'll talk about that a little later. And a lot of power steering failures. The next gen car becoming more increasingly worrisome. I wonder how that's going to continue to affect things as time goes on. But hey, I like the idea. Looking ahead, let's go on. It's kind of a combined segment. We got some horizon forecast, but we also have the tire tiers back. So it's nice because we only have 12 guys left really that we're talking about in the playoffs, so we can kind of combine a little bit of here's how we really feel about this driver and do a little bit more of a deep dive into some of these guys. Because we only have 3 tiers of 4 drivers. That's all that's left, and that's really all that matters at this point. So tier number 1.
You would think. Yeah. We thought that the last 4 weeks too, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so in tier 1 here, we have Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and Ross Chastain. A few guys here, it's been a wild season because I remember Chastain, we were low early, really high in the middle, then low again. Now he's back in tier 1. Denny Hamlin's been all over the map a little bit. These are, I don't know if I want to call them championship favorites because I don't think you can really have a championship favorite the way that the last 4 races of the playoffs have gone so far. But what do we think about these guys?
Mark, go ahead and take it here, man. What was your overall impression of tier 1?
Yeah, I think when I was going to talk about all of them, but tier 1, I think you got to look at a season as a whole, equipment, and then things, upcoming tracks, obviously. And then things you hear in the media, you see on Twitter, you see on the TV. Like, one thing that I picked up, and a couple of people have picked up last week, was Justin Marks on the radio saying that Trackhouse is going to be way more conservative than a lot of teams on tire pressure, aka didn't blow one at Bristol or Texas. Yep. I think those things, with the way that this next gen car is going, you have to take into consideration. So I like Ross Chastain at the front. What have you done for me lately? Not that much. I think he's been consistent, and he's had some fast cars, and he's wrecked a little bit. No shocker. And then you got Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin. I think, well, obviously they're the top 2 Toyotas here because the other 2 aren't here. But Denny Hamlin's been in the top 5. It feels like every single week. He doesn't end up winning. And Christopher Bell, I feel like, has been obviously the second strongest JGR, but arguably the strongest. And then Chase Elliott, you can't look away from Chase Elliott. Some of the hot runs that he's been on, especially over the summer when he didn't finish worse than second, like 5 straight races. I understand he's only 11 points after the Byron penalty. He's only 11 points above the cut line, but my money's still on Chase Elliott here. I don't know how you really steer away, even with the bad luck and some of the bad runs he's had lately.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Mark. And I think Mark summarized it very well. A lot of this has to do with recent consistency. And these guys have been some of the more consistent drivers. for all we like to bag on Ross and that, he's reckless, he's put together a really good string of performances coming into this one. And I think hearing what Justin Marks said about being conservative, I think that makes sense. They want to have a deep playoff run. And so if you're playing any type of redraft or anything like that, continuing on here, consider that. If you're DFS as well and you want a guaranteed finish, think about that, targeting some of these Trackhouse guys. And, looking forward here, I really, in my rankings, I put a lot of emphasis on what are these guys doing at these tracks coming up here. Dega, Chase Elliott is an absolute dog at Dega. 4 top 5s in his career already. Roval, he's great at the Roval. I think Ross can show some improvement at the Roval, being good at some of those road courses. Las Vegas, Homestead, we've seen Ross run good at those tracks. Denny Hamlin is the one right in, like, the next couple races. I don't think he has the best string of recent performances on these tracks, but he's just been so fast. Like, I think he's getting the majority of the funding heading down the stretch here. Chris Bell's below the cut line. So, as much as we want to rank him in this top tier, I had an issue doing it. I don't even know if I actually put him in my top consensus there.
I don't remember. I was going to look and see, but I don't remember which
All
one.
good.
But yeah, I think these two JGR cars, if I'm going to put favorites for Championship 4, I like both these guys. I know Bell's below the cut line now, but he's been one of the more consistent guys.
Right.
Like you said about Denny Hamlin, one of you, he's just in the top 5 every week. With Chase Elliott, he's run well, but he's needed every single one of those points for being the regular season champion. And of course, nobody's guaranteed to get into the next round as of yet. I'm a little bit wary on Chase because he can go and run, what's Talladega, 188 laps, right, or something like that. He can go lead 187 laps, get crashed on the last lap, and then be at some points below the cut line just because of the bad luck that he had at Texas, just like so many other people did. So
he's too good here, though. I think he's too good at Dega and he's too good at Roval. Like, I definitely hear you, Elliot, that he could get wrecked out of Dega and then he's in some trouble. But I think when push comes to shove, if Chase has to go out and win Roval in a must-win situation, I just think he does it. I think the guy has that type of balls on him. Maybe I'm wrong, but
he's got the highest average finish at the Roval for the 3 races they've run there, so that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Ross, I think all he needs to do, I didn't know that Justin Marks' comment about being conservative, and I think if they do strip that away because you can't be conservative and win a title. Yeah. But that's really all Ross needs to do is survive because he's run okay enough, and nobody has run him over yet. We thought maybe somebody gets to him, they run him over for the payback, and maybe he doesn't advance. But all Ross has to do is just stay out of trouble, which, of course, easier said than done at Talladega and the Roval. But really, all these guys have to do, especially Ross, stay out of trouble, and they'll be all right. I don't know about his Trackhouse teammate, Diego Suarez. We'll get to him in a minute. But in terms of Chastain, be conservative, but then you're really going to have to ramp it up. And I think he can. We've seen he can. But we'll just have to see. What have you done for me lately, Mark? I think you said that about Ross. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say when the back end of Justin Marks, he did say obviously if they get to the Final Four in Martinsville that they're going to wrap it up or ratchet it up. And it's funny that you bring that up because honestly about Ross not getting wrecked because I haven't really. That's kind of out of my mind. That I know it's only been a month since 3 races since he's had an issue, but. That's interesting. I don't think since it hasn't happened yet, I don't think that means it's not going to happen. I definitely think that's a very, very good possibility. But another thing I wanted to point out is we were talking about the Roval and Toyota's performance on road courses this year has been actually terrible.
Yeah,
and we've seen Chevy just absolutely dominate road courses. So that's something interesting to keep in. Obviously Kyle Busch and Martin Truex, who have had phenomenal road course history, are not in the playoffs, but that's definitely gonna be something I'm gonna keep my eye on.
I like that call. That's a really good point there, Mark.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see, and it really could hurt one of these Toyota guys up here at the top. All right, moving into Tier 2, we've got Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, and William Byron. We got 2 Penske guys, 2 Hendrick guys. Kyle Larson, we just haven't seen him be as dominant. Of course, we've seen Hendrick have the good runs. We've seen him add some bad luck. At this point, Larson was winning every damn race. He was a championship favorite, ends up taking it at Phoenix. I don't want to say I have no confidence in Larson because we know he can turn it on. I feel like out of the 4 Hendrick guys, I have the least amount of confidence in Kyle Larson right now. I don't know if that's crazy to say. We'll see what you guys think. I think Byron's going to have to race like crazy after that penalty now. He got put behind.
Yeah.
I know Hendrick's appealing
Crazy.
it, but that's not going to get overturned. I mean, it's good that they gave him that penalty. I think you can't be spinning guys under caution. And I don't know about NASCAR's excuse of, oh, we didn't see it until after. How do you not see one of your playoff guys crashing on the front stretch like 3 seconds after you throw the yellow? I think it was a crappy excuse, and we can get into race control another time. I don't think that's, proper here. And I feel like these 2 Penske guys, relatively consistent, relatively quiet. I know Blaney was talked about a lot because he was one of the first guy to have issues. He and Cindric with the Fords blowing the tires early at Bristol. These guys are consistent enough. They could make the championship 4. They all are also quiet enough. Other guys could, jump over them. I don't know how you guys feel about these drivers. Let's find out.
Well, first I'm going to say F. William Byron. That was like the shittiest move. Like, I don't know. I've just I grew up a Jeff kid. William Byron doesn't do for me. Sorry. Like, you've already heard my William Byron get in shape, that rant, Elliot. Yeah. But I don't know. That was a cheap shot. I will say the 2 here that really I think Logano should be in tier 1. He was in my tier 1. I think he's super consistent. I don't think he's a threat to maybe win these next 2 races, maybe Dega. But really it's Ryan Blaney for me here, guys. Like, he's the one these next 2 races, whether you're betting, whether you're playing fantasy, whatever you are doing, get Ryan Blaney in your lineups. He has a crazy 31.3 top 10 average at Dega. So 1 out of 3 races, he's finished in the top 10. That's pretty good for a young driver. And he has finished top 10 in all 3 of his starts at the Roval as well. So 100% top 10 rate. I think these next 2 races, Ryan Blaney is going to be dynamite. I'm really interested in him. Mark, what say you here on Blaney, Byron being an asshole in this entire tier 2?
I think that the tier 1 and tier 2 difference is like this. I think at least 7 of the 8 are interchangeable. I think we've seen the Fords, especially Logano and Blaney, have great short run speed, great qualifying efforts. They can run up at the front. We've seen Logano take the lead early in races fairly often. He's one of my favorite stage 1 bets. They're not around at the end, whether it's blowing tires at Bristol or just lacking the long run speed.
Right.
That I don't think that's a recipe for a championship 4 opportunity. So that's why they're in my tier 2. I think when you get to the Hendrick guys, Larson and Byron, Byron was an asshole last week, so shove him down to tier 2. I'm okay with that. But I think if you take Larson and Byron, you could easily swap them out with Bell and or Chastain. I think the difference between tier 2 and tier 1 is very minuscule. And that's what even the average fan knows, that nobody knows who's going to win the championships this year. And there is clearly not a favorite. Obviously, you could have made an argument for Chase Elliott for many, many weeks of the season. But obviously now that's thrown out the window. But I do like Logano and Blaney at super speedways. I think the Fords do a really good job at working together. So obviously we've seen Blaney go on a tear on super speedway races. And we'll just see who's there at the end. I think that, well, obviously this graphic is going to look a lot different next week and even in 2 weeks. I think that, obviously we've seen Suarez have some good runs. But I think the top 2 tiers here are a little bit farther ahead than tier 3.
Yeah, so let's move on to tier 3. I would agree with that. We got Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, Austin Cindric, and Chase Briscoe. And we'll take them, put on the Ally purple tinted glasses here. People have soured on Bowman real quick, and it's just been because of bad luck. He was running top 10 at Bristol, had the power steering failures like everyone else, and then got involved in a wreck, having a pit from that. And then Texas was one of the first guys to blow a tire and ends up at the back. So, I mean, I get it. The team has been inconsistent. They haven't earned that goodwill, only having the 1 win at Vegas that they probably shouldn't even have. But, I mean, when you look at the next 2 races for Bowman, they're both crapshoots. But he's been crashed out of the lead early in the last 3 fall Talladega races. This was a tweet that I meant to put out with these clips before the show, and I forgot because I've been busy. But I'm going to put it out and hopefully get some traction. Literally crashed out of the lead, like stage 1, stage 2, or at the lead or the top 2. Last 3 fall Degas, and the third highest average finish at the Roval. So that probably means nothing because these tracks are both chaotic. This is an entirely different car. A lot of things changing here. Don't quite sour on Bowman just yet. And I think all these guys have upside. They're in the playoffs for a reason. The Trackhouse being conservative method could easily get Suarez in just because the next 2 races are going to be chaos. I think we can see Cindric have the same sort of upside as the 22 and 12.
Yes, sir.
And Chase Briscoe, he's around. He's not that far out. He's only a couple points out right now. I could easily see that 14 going to victory lane down there in Dega. I don't know what you guys think of Tier 3.
Mark, I'll let you take this one, man, because I think people know where I'm going here in tier 3.
I like this one. I'll play around the board a little bit. You mentioned Briscoe there at the end, Elliot. His car, and they said this on the broadcast, his car was so bad at Texas that he was running consistently like 28th to 32nd in the first stage. It was so bad, right? But Texas is also so bad that he got up to the front. He stayed out of trouble. He didn't have any issues. And he got to like 5th and held on to it. Like did not leave the top 5. So obviously adjustments. I think Johnny Klossmeyer is his crew chief. I could be wrong there.
I think so.
But that just shows in a race where the car is dog doo-doo, you can get a guy to the front and he can have a good finish. So like I said about Tier 2 and Tier 1 about these guys that I feel like are way ahead of Tier 3, not so fast, my friend. We can obviously see Bowman go out and win. We can see Cindric win on a super speedway, maybe on a road course. And we've seen Suarez have winning speed too. Not as fast as Chastain. But like we've been saying all show, Talladega, Roval, going to be crazy stupid. If they're not, color me shocked. And this board's going to look a lot different in a couple weeks. So don't count out any of these guys. I know it's tough. It's easy for me to sit back and be like, oh, this is a tough decision. I don't know who I'm going with, blah, blah, blah. But season as a whole, I think this bottom tier is pretty accurate at this point in the season.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll be like, from a betting point of view here, Cindric has been the one this second half of the season that overall all drivers, he's made me the most money. A lot of the matchups are just very friendly that I found Cindric in, really going all the way back to the road courses here in July. So I like him at the Roval. We haven't seen him at the Roval, so it's a little bit of a dice roll there. But Dega, I think he's interesting in, and like, if you want to, like my betting advice is like, just take like an outright on one of these guys to like win the championship. Like, it will be fun if it happens. Last week I got Cindric at plus 5,000 to take it home. And like, while that's probably unlikely for him to do it, like if that hits, that's pretty awesome, So I'm going to be riding with Cindric, I think, the rest of the year. I do like Suarez from a consistency standpoint. If you're looking for a top 10 guy, keep Suarez in mind. He's kind of been around there. Bowman, I don't know what to tell you. Every time I bet him, he crashes, and every time I fade him, he finishes high. So I'm a little bit in and out on Bowman.
Stop betting on the 48, Seth, right now. Don't do it.
Yeah, I think that's the message I have is like, it's going to be unpredictable, but I would not be shocked if we see one of these 2 or one of these 4 cars in victory lane in the next 2 races.
Well, hey, why wait? Let's get more specific in the parking garage props. So, guys, we were talking about these a little bit before the show, that these are some very generous outright odds here. We got at plus 1,200 are the favorites. Byron, Blaney, Logano, Larson, Hamlin, and Chase Elliott. Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric are all at plus 1,500. Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell plus 1,800. And a couple playoff guys I don't even see on this favorites leaderboard. Where are you guys going with this?
Mark, are you taking any outrights this week? I'm sure you have to, being pretty high on that Buescher one a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so back what Elliot said, the top of the board looks extremely favorable. And I'm looking over here because I got the odds up. 12-1 for the top 6 or 7 drivers. Very generous from the sports books. I will gladly take that. We've seen 8-1, 9-1, 10-1. So to see numbers like this, it makes my day. It made my day today, just thumbing through this board. And then you scroll down a little bit and you got like a whole cluster of guys, 12, 15, 18 of them that are like 15-1 to 40-1. And I was a little let down at that point. But yes, I'm taking some outrights. I said this before the show, but when I look at Talladega pre-qualifying, post-qualifying, doesn't really matter to me, really. I look at the number and then look at the driver, because last year you had Tate Fogelman, Brandon Brown, and Bubba Wallace put $1 a parlay, and you're a six-figure winner the next day. So where's the dart? Close my eyes, throw the dart. That's who I'm betting on. But no, some of these guys that catch my eye, like Gragson, top 5, 12-1. Justin Haley was at a ridiculous number when he opened up. He's back down to 50-1 to win. Ricky Stenhouse or Recky Spinhouse. I love you, Ricky. Don't be mad at me. Got kind of. I know super speedway racing with Toyotas not favorable because they don't have that many, but their numbers are always so juicy. Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Truex, all 18-1. And then you got guys that have won on super speedway, Cendric and Chastain. There's just so many different ways you could go here. So what I'm probably going to do is take Blaney 12-1.
Right.
Probably take Chase. 12-1 on Chase at a super speedway with the Chevy help. And then kind of scroll down the board and look at some top 5 odds. Some of the tier 3 drivers we were just talking about. Briscoe 4-1 top 5. Cendric already won this year on super speedway. His odds are a little iffy, but anyway, point is, I like to look at the number and then look at the driver, because we all know that nothing is guaranteed in betting, especially at Talladega. And where do you find that balance of, okay, ridiculous number, pretty good equipment, can keep the draft, can mix it up a little bit, and then where does the equipment drop off? So I think just focus your efforts in that, 100-1, the 50-1 or 40-1 range, and find some guys that odds may move. So get them early in the week. And then just as more and more information comes out and the more thought that you do and the more darts that you throw, I wanted to throw that in there, the better chance you have of winning.
Yeah.
So guys, quick outrights: Blaney, Elliot, Kyle Busch, Recky Stenhouse.
Okay. I got Blaney and Cindric as my only outrights this week, and I'm going a little more conservative in the outrights just because it really is. I feel like I'm picking out of a hat this week. As far as top 5s, top 10s, specials are concerned, there were some really nice specials on DraftKings this week. Again, the odds have kind of gotten shorter on a couple of these like top 5 guys, top 10s, like the dual ones for that. But now they're back. There's a Chase and a Bubba Wallace, both top 5 for plus 1,000 out there. I really like that. Between the two of them, they have a 22.7 top 5 rate here. That's fantastic. Most of that's coming from Chase, but Bubba can mix it up here too as well. I just think it's like
defending race winner of this race,
Yes, and I think it's like tell yourself what kind of race this is going to be. And when I look at it, I see Chase being conservative, because he probably has to be a little more conservative than usual. So I think he's going to hang around the back a little bit, try to avoid some of these early wrecks. While Bubba, I think, is just going to go balls to the wall, try to win this thing again. So I think at the end, I could see both those guys in the top 5. I like Penske, so I'm going Penske to win plus 350. Or if you want to do it a little more, Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, both top 5 for plus 1,000 as well. 3 of the last 7 races here at Talladega have been won by Team Penske. Brad Keselowski obviously counting in that when he was in Penske equipment. And we know what Cindric can do with these super speedways as well. So as far as a conservative way to go about it, that's kind of my approach. It is some longer odds I'm taking, but I feel good about it. That's kind of where we had success earlier this season, Elliot. We took a lot of these top 5 pairing bets. How are you feeling about those that I just threw out there?
Those are pretty interesting. The 3 of the last 7 with Penske, I didn't realize. I like them to win. Again, they got all 3 guys in the playoffs there. And you could even throw Harrison Burton in as a Penske car. I don't know if he would count. But in terms of running conservative, I think a lot of guys would do that. But the stage points are way too valuable. I mean, the fact that you can get those extra points, you go win the stage, you get an extra playoff point, which could be just absolutely huge. I mean, we saw Reddick eliminated in the last round by 2 or 3 points. Any position at any moment could be the difference between the next round or being eliminated. So I think that that's going to just add to the chaos in this race. I like some of these long shot bets here. I got a couple from Rod here too that he put in our Twitter chat. Miss you, Rod. Sorry you couldn't be here, but So he's got Noah Gragson, top 10 odds, plus 350. I like that. Beard Motorsports is kind of iffy as to how good their cars actually are. I think they get help from RCR in that thing.
Yeah.
They really only run the super speedways now. We know Gregson's going to go out there. I mean, he had comments on, I believe it was Door Bumper Clear, that says maybe he doesn't run as hard in the Cup cars. So I'd be a little wary of that, but I still like a top 10 just because of that survival element. And then he's got Brad Keselowski as the top Ford at plus 800, and that's pretty good. Not only does Brad run well at super speedways, I would like that even if RFK hasn't been running well the last couple of weeks. What are your thoughts on Rod's couple of bets there, guys?
What are you thinking, Mark? What are you thinking Rod's got for us today? There we go.
Oh, all right.
I had to rock the Gragson because he's in the Beard Motorsports. I don't think he's sponsored by Wendy's this week. I could be wrong.
No, they're running like the beard oil stuff.
The beard oil. I like that one
with the breast cancer awareness one. So that's pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
It's got some pink on it. I like that. I'm a big Gragson fan. I love everything about him. I love the throw up. I love the shotgun of beers, the climbing fences, the attitude, the driving. All of it. I love it. I think he's great for the sport of NASCAR. I'm sorry, Rod. I hate 3.5 to 1 for a top 10.
I thought it was a little low. I did think it was a little low. Yeah,
it was gross. Now Harrison Burton top 10, 6 to 1. Okay,
a little better.
We can talk about that. But that's where I think Gragson should be. Maybe even worse because they don't have any teammates. Yeah, they have an alliance with Chevy and RCR, and I think Gragson has proved himself a little bit. I think he's gained a little bit of respect with some of these Cup guys, but I wouldn't count on a lot of help with him. I'm not going to bet it. I'm going to bet him outright top 5, juicy numbers. But top 10, I thought was just a smidge low for my liking.
I understand that completely, Skybox. We do have a question here for Kamani Kerr on YouTube. What's up, Kamani? Thanks for tuning in tonight. We appreciate your question here. What's your top 3 drivers? What is your top 3 drivers finish this weekend? So I'm guessing you're just thinking overall top 3 drivers for you this weekend.
We could pick first, second, third.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's what. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Mark, go for it, man.
Yeah, I'm ready. All right. I'm gonna go. This is stupid. Kyle Busch wins. Blaney comes in second, and Gragson comes in third. Because I know it's not going to be front runners at the front, so I got to throw somebody in there.
Elliot?
All right. I'll also throw in my dart throws for race winners this weekend because I've been thinking of those. Top 3, Corey LaJoie, going to get the win. Meaningful, but also meaningless. Wouldn't get him obviously can't get him in the playoffs at this point, but I think he finally gets it done. Then we'll go Bowman second just because it pissed me off. So I think that's going to happen again. And let's say we'll throw Harrison Burton in third there. I brought up his name. And my dart throws for the weekend, LaJoie in the Cup race. Let's say Carson Hocevar in the Truck Series and Joe Graff Jr. in Xfinity. Let's keep it wild.
Okay. I'm gonna go for Talladega here. I'm gonna go. I think Ryan Blaney's got to win a race this season. I would be shocked if he didn't. I think he's gonna get the monkey off his back here. I'm gonna go Ryan Blaney 1. I'm gonna go Cindric 2, and I'm gonna go Chase Elliott 3. I know it's a little chalky, but I would just be shocked if we saw what we saw at Daytona. With that being said, though, something I think we learned here, Mark and Elliot, from our experience at Daytona, where we saw some people rip some crazy bets off 60 cents, $13 into life-changing money. And that's what we want to help you do. So, I highly advise, whether it's just a small bet, place a little bit of a parlay on, LaJoie plus 350 to make a top 10, Landon Castle plus 1,200 to make a top 10, Cody Ware plus 1,200, BJ McLeod, just kind of get a little crazy with it. Try some different combinations. I'm not saying go out and spend a crazy amount of your units on this, but I don't know, bet a half unit on something like this, bet a couple cents or a couple dollars, depending what your bankroll is here. Mark, what's your opinion on ripping some of these little parlays out there that could stack up?
My favorite parlays, and I really only do them at the shit show tracks, is just Truck Xfinity Cup or just Xfinity Cup outright parlay winners. They're my favorite thing to do. Put $1 on it, put $5 on it. If you want to get really frisky, put $10 on it. But especially a weekend like this, all 3 series are at Talladega.
Yeah.
And what we saw last year in the fall was just the absolute nonsense craziness. And if you put $1 and parlay the 3 winners, it'd be like absurd amount of money. So yes, I think it's fun. I think what you said about not risking not even close to 0.5% of your bankroll for the weekend. I mean, put very minuscule, because we all know that they never hit, except for Daytona when they did. But it's something fun to watch when you win the truck race, and then you get to tweet it out and you're like, I have a chance at X amount of money after the first race.
Yeah.
So super fun to me. I'll probably have 5 or 6, 7, 8 different outright parlays, throw $1 on it, throw $5 on it, just have a little fun. So yeah, count me in for crazy parlays.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's round it out here, guys, with just a little bit of matchup talk. Mark, have you parsed through the matchups at all yet?
No, because the reason is, and I'll let you guys talk about this, but my 2 cents is I hate betting matchups at super speedways. Now, if you wanted to take like 3 or 4 plus money and parlay them together, now you're talking my language, because who the hell knows what's going to happen. So no, I stay away from matchups. I don't even talk about them. Maybe we can talk parlays. How about that?
Yeah. One of them, I'm going to say, if you're going to throw in a parlay, and maybe this is my bias kicking in, guys, but I think Cindric over Bell here, -110. I thought that was pretty generous for Cindric, who really great at super speedways, whether it's been here or the Xfinity Series. Bell's average finish is 22nd, just 2 top 20s for him here at Talladega. I know we've been riding the Christopher Bell train a lot lately. He's been very consistent for top 5s and top 10s. I think that ends here this week. I don't like him. I'm kind of fading him in a lot of matchups. So if you want to fade Chris Bell, make a little parlay out of your fades of Chris Bell. I don't hate that. Or if you just want to fade one other driver in particular, I don't think that's a bad strategy at all. Mark or Elliot, any guys like you guys think like you're straight up fading this week that you wouldn't mind like parlaying a couple matchups against?
I sometimes, and I do this in other sports, in college football and NFL, whenever I see a bunch of people, whether it's my buddies or Twitter, on one thing, like let's say last night everyone was on the Giants, I'm taking the Cowboys. If everyone's on the Cowboys, I'm taking the Giants. So a guy like relatable to NASCAR, maybe you guys like Bubba. I feel like a lot of people are going to be on Bubba, maybe fade Bubba. As much as I hate to say it because I'm on him, Blaney's going to be loved this week. So, I don't love fading drivers, especially on a super speedway. But, if you see a trend on a road course or a short track or a mile and a half, whatever it may be, and you can find a trend where this driver really sucks at this track, I'm all for fading. In this scenario, give me opposite of what everybody else wants. How about that?
Yeah.
So Bubba Wallace is my answer.
What do you think, El?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with what Mark said there. To go the opposite, because that's what's really going to help you at Talladega for sure. And with those long shots, the point I wanted to bring up too is I'm a little surprised that not only do we have such good odds at the front for the race winners in terms of outrights, but I'm surprised the sports books haven't changed anything, because I'm sure they don't want to pay out more life-changing money like they did at Daytona. And this race has every sort of trend that it's going to be exactly the same way. So, I mean, more power to us for sure. I'm just surprised the sports books haven't changed it around a little bit. And in terms of Cody Ware, I mean, there's been nothing that points to him not driving, but he had some small injuries after that wreck in Texas, so hopefully he's all right. If he doesn't end up racing, whoever ends up in that 51 car, go ahead and throw a bet on him. I don't know who they find.
Good point, Elliot. I like that.
All right, so let's round it out real quick with our back road stories. So the last couple of weeks with these, we've kind of put on our crazy hat a little bit, just keeping with the absolute wildness that has been the Cup Series playoffs. So we all hate Texas. Everybody watching this hates Texas. Everybody who drove Texas hates Texas. Everybody who went to Texas hates Texas. Probably the owner of the track hates Texas right now, probably, because everybody else hates it. So put on your developer hat for a minute. Give us some crazy ideas. How do you fix Texas? Mine is, I know Dale Jr.'s talked about this a lot. He wants Bristol to be back in asphalt instead of concrete. I say let's take Texas, let's turn it into asphalt Bristol. Let's put a giant sports book outside of the track. Let's put like a Ferris wheel, an amusement park. Let's put 100,000 seats around it. Let's just make it a gigantic experience. People come on down to Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. You have fun. Put a freaking restaurant that looks like a cowboy hat. Put a bull riding ring outside.
There you go.
Doesn't matter. Just take as much money as you want to spend. Build some fun stuff. Build a fun short track. And just have a grand old time in Texas and get rid of whatever the hell that this complete garbage racetrack is.
I like it, man. Elliot, that's probably the most passionate thing I've heard you talk about on this show. We've been doing this about 2 years now, so I appreciate that, man. No, I think they have to get creative here, guys. Like, honestly, like, I don't hate the dirt idea. I've, like, always thought, like, I don't know how NASCAR would do this, but, like, I almost, like, thought it'd be cool if they, like, almost did, like, a slick track eventually where, like, they kind of have it a little bit wet and they have, like, appropriate tires where they can kind of, like, approach it safely. I don't know.
They did do a wet tire test at Martinsville relatively recently.
Yeah, so like something like
wet
that.
and wild NASCAR in Texas. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, well, because like it's so damn hot. Like no one wants to go there and actually watch the race because it's so damn hot.
Yeah.
So like I'm just saying, if like
misters in the stands haven't missed down on you,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There you go, dude.
That's
Elliot, hold on, time out. Elliot has all of the ideas. Okay, like you say one thing, Elliot's gonna
come out of the bag and throw. Just do something to make this a watchable racetrack. I remember watching Texas as a kid. You know, the late 2000s, early 2010s. It was a decent race. You know, the Texas night race. It was good racing, hot slick track, and they've just taken it. They put crap on it for IndyCar. They put too much traction on it, and the car has changed. It's just dead. You got to do something crazy with it.
I agree, man. I agree. Mark, what do you think of Texas? Is there any salvaging it?
Yes and no. Current format and configuration, absolutely not. I can't say it any better than Elliot. I hate Texas. I hate the product. I hate betting on it. And if it was a boring, strung out race that the leader led every lap, I think I'd like that more than to see what we watched on Sunday, because it was no fun betting on it. It was no fun as a fan. It was no fun from a business perspective. It was hotter than shit. Excuse my French. It was just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. So I'm going to take a combination of two drivers' opinion. I do like Dale Jr.'s, and I like Kyle Larson's, who basically said make it Bristol, but 3/4 of a mile. And, you know, take Dale Jr., throw some asphalt on it. And then I also saw, I think it was Jordan Bianchi said, there's some like super nice suites down in 1 and 2, entry to 1 and 2. And someone photoshopped Google Maps, just the Bristol track right in there, showing that you could keep them, right? So then you make it another big ass Coliseum, right? And then you also somehow, I'm not an architect, I have no idea. You take Landon Castle's idea and make like a road course, so it wouldn't be infield, it would be the former Texas infield. Somehow be able to move the new Bristol track and have high banked hairpin turns. It would be better than the bullshit we saw on Sunday. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So listen, make it a roval, make it a short track, make it a dirt, make it a slip and slide. I don't care. Do something.
That made me think of an interesting idea, because I think Charlotte and Texas are both owned by the same group. I know that people love the Charlotte Roval. It's cool. It's probably not going away. But you can save all that money. You don't have to build a bull ring and a cowboy hat restaurant and make it a whole new thing. Bring the regular oval back to Charlotte, because the Coke 600 was great. I mean, we all think
Phenomenal.
Take the regular Roval away from Charlotte for a couple of years and just make Texas Roval. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Configure it. You know, it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper. Just go run Texas Roval. You don't even have to put it in the playoffs if you don't want the first year. Take like the Glen and move it to the playoffs if you really want a road course. But I think that's a good idea. I mean, like I said, I think Charlotte Roval has become such a staple that they wouldn't do it. But give Charlotte 2 ovals back. Even just try it for a year. Build a Roval at Texas. I'm sure you could have IndyCar and IMSA race there and stuff like that. Get done.
I will say this. Nothing. I will put nothing past NASCAR. They have done crazy stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to see a street course next year.
I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited.
It's going to be a shit show, but I'm excited too.
I'm okay with shit show.
Oh,
Honestly,
I'll bet my mortgage. I don't
As long
care.
as
gonna be
it's
entertaining.
a good Talladega shit show and not 15 liters blow the tires and the racing sucks shit show.
Exactly. And I think there's no doubt it's going to be entertaining just from the newness of it and just the spectacle that it's going to be. But I'm not going to put anything past NASCAR on schedule changes. Obviously, the schedule's out for next year, but just crazy nonsense entertainment because, yeah, we're not the WWE because that's fake. Sorry if you guys are fans. But there has to be an entertainment aspect to it. And Texas was the negative entertainment. Like if there's a scale, it'd be off the chart negative on how that was. So anyway, I'm not going to put it past NASCAR, but the future is bright. I think that was the point of where I was going with this. The future is definitely bright for NASCAR, no doubt.
Yeah, the future is bright, and I think we realize now, they all realize, hey, this Texas thing's not working, we got to do something. So hopefully something will change for sure. All right, so we only got a couple of minutes here before Seth has got to go off and do the In Between Fantasy Football podcast.
Yes, sir.
So let's round it up. Mark, where can we find your stuff? Thanks for joining us again. We know Skybox NASCAR. You guys just started that podcast relatively recently, right?
Yeah, so we're recording episode 5 tomorrow night after Derek's NASCAR betting preview show. So that'll be out either Thursday or Friday, pending if I have power here. I hope I do. But just on Twitter at Skybox NASCAR, we're going to be my girlfriend actually works at a fairly large women's clothing brand, and I met one of their artists, their designers. So she's going to do a little freelance work for us, make us some T-shirts, do some cool stuff. So we'll have some merchandise here shortly. And yeah, the podcast, the Lane Coin podcast drops every Thursday or Friday. I still have a day job, so never know when it's actually going to drop. But go give it a listen. We drink beer. It's kind of like this show, just a little bit longer. And I got my buddy Rory Picks, who, when I don't have anything to say, I just ask him a question, let him talk for 5 minutes, and then figure out what I'm going to get to next. So
we found that was a good time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and we'll have to get you guys on the show in a couple weeks.
No doubt. Yeah, welcome anytime for sure. All right, Seth, anything you want to plug quick before you got to go?
Hey, no, guys, follow, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate everyone tuning in to IBT. We're going to be around. We got 7 days a week content coming for you between here and our website, inbetweenmedia.com. We've had tremendous growth the last couple of months on the website, on here. So we appreciate everyone. I appreciate Mark joining us tonight. Elliot, I appreciate your hosting as always. Guys, check out Elliot's column next week through the field to get your betting DFS advice. And then the following week, we'll be back here on the back road, tearing it up as usual with some Busch Lights, baby.
As always. Hey, stay tuned to the channel if you're into the fantasy football content. That's coming up in about 10 minutes. But hey, thanks for rolling down the back road with us. Best of luck with your bets at Dega, and we'll see you next time.